Hey, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know. I went to mute by mistake. Okay, I'm not sure when I went to mute. So please, yeah, thanks, Swapna, that you told me that I'm in mute. Okay. So, somebody send me this login automation code. I'm just adding to here. Okay, nothing else. Nothing else. I created a new project that is framework ambition b2, and which doesn't have any selenium libraries. I just added selenium libraries to that, and I just created a class wordpress login test, and I'm adding that code here. Okay, so one is you got to know, right? And so this is what we did, and this is a login. Let's keep it to a local variable and say user name. Okay, and this one user password, right? Extract to a local variable and do user password. Okay, and finally we are clicking on the submit button or login button. Okay, that's it, we are done. Okay, let's run this code and make sure it's working fine. Okay, so this let's say, let's write another piece of code to work with another set of data. So this time go with instead of xyz, do xyz, or do with some numbers. Okay, do it some numbers. So this driver anyway we are already having, we let's no need to use this. Okay, so what shall we do? We have to name it as login element because these variables are already used, right? Okay, let's run these two test cases together, and I'm not using login element one, so let's use it. Okay, the same thing, username one. Okay, and user password one. Okay, submit one. Okay, so let's run this. I have to run two test cases now. Okay, this is one piece of code. Okay, and this is another piece of code, and I also require to do the initialization because the reason is that I'm already quitting it. I'm quitting the driver. I require to do the initialization once again. So let's go with driver one. Okay, okay, and I have to quit here. You got it right. I'm doing another test with a different data. That's it. Okay, for doing that, I'm doing all this. I'm just copying the code once again, and I'm changing the things, the required things. Okay, and I'm running it. Let's see.
Hello, Sudhir.
Yes, Mohit.
Yeah, I have one question.
Yeah.
So when you highlighted, for example, where I wrote driver.find element, when you highlighted that part and you were able to turn it into a web element,
Yeah.
what did you press to get that option?
Say control one. Select the one you wanted to extract and do control one.
Thank you.
Now it's working with numbers, right? So that's it. But this is fine. But if you want to add one more test, if you want to add multiple tests, okay, so you require to change this variables, and you require to change this data. So, and you have to keep everything in one single. That looks very awkward, right? So what we have to do is to, let's keep each test code in a test method. Each test code in a test method. So for that, what I'm doing is public void. Let's take a test, log it with characters, right? First one is, the second one is with numbers. Login with invalid. Those are invalid. Invalid. Invalid characters. Whatever it is. Okay, let's take it. Okay, take this code. Take out this code. This entire code. Keep it here. Now take another method. Public void. Please watch carefully. Test login with numbers. Okay. Take out this code now and keep it here. Okay. Now I have to call this. So each of my test code is lying in a one test method, right? So I have to call these test methods. How can I call these test methods? To call these methods, I have to create a object for the class. Okay. So once I create an object for the class, then I can able to invoke the methods and variables inside it. Okay. Now what you have to do is login down and call the methods test login method, and also call these methods test login with numbers. Okay, that's it. So let's do the same thing. Let's run these things and make sure it is running. Okay, that's fine. Now what you have to do is let's observe these two test methods. Okay, you can able to see that these two lines are common. Am I right? And the last line is also common. Okay, between, and I know, and these four lines are common. Yeah, these four lines are common, and these four lines are also common. Of course, the remaining part is also common, but these are related to test code. Okay, let's keep it there. So which is not non part of the test code is this one. Okay, this is not part of the test code. So the test code is, one is click on the login and do username and password and then submit. So this is what we call it as test code, right? Absolute test code or absolute test case. Okay, the non part of the test code, this is this one, and driver.create. So this, that is common in this test method, and also common in this test method. Let's try to you know, take out from the test method. Let's create a another method setup. Let's create one more method setup and take out these things and keep it in the setup. Okay, this setup is nothing but this is a method, some method where I'm keeping all this for statement. It is nothing but before you execute this particular test login with invalid characters, do the setup. Okay, so if I run this test method directly, so it cannot it unable to find out the login link. It cannot able to find out the login link because there is no browser open and there is no WordPress.com is not launched, right? So before you run this test, you do setup, and after doing the setup, you execute this test method. Okay. At the same time, let's remove all these things. Before you execute login with, let's execute setup. So this setup will take you to the right position, and from there onwards you can able to execute all this login, user login, all those things. Okay. Also remove the driver.quit which you kept in another method. So let's watch it for another 2 minutes. You can able to understand what I'm going down. Okay, and you can do driver dot quit, and after executing all this test, execute this teardown. Okay, and so the problem here it is unable to find out the driver. Okay, and this driver is located as a local variable, and this driver scope is limited to only this method. No other method can able to see the driver object, right? So that's the reason let's make it as a instance variable so that each and every the entire class will have the visibility of driver object. Now you see. Okay, so here we are using driver one. Let's make it as now the variable is driver, right? The instance variable is driver. Let's change it to driver. Okay, and what you do is do the login dot setup, login dot tear down, login dot setup, login dot tear down. Okay, so first of all we are calling the setup. So when I call the setup, it is opening a browser and launching a WordPress.com and making it maximize and also adding some implicit wait, that is 30 seconds, and then it is executing the actual test, that is clicking on the login button and entering username, password, and finally clicking on the submit. Okay, and again in the tear down I am closing the browser whatever I opened it. The same thing is for the second test method, that is login with the numbers. So in this manner you can write multiple tests, you can able to write multiple tests. So what you have to do is, let's run once again, making sure we have done is running fine. So you have to understand it carefully because the same thing will be modifying and we are bringing to a framework. Okay, we see the problem when we keep everything in a main method. We see the problem, it looks very awkward and clumsy. Okay, and that's the reason we pull it to two test methods, and from the test method we see some common statements that we pull to set up and tear down. Okay, so like that we'll be keep improving our framework. Okay, to you. Create a project. What project it is? Create a Java project. Add Selenium library to build path. Create a package called com.wordpress.test. Okay, and create a class WordPress login test. Okay, and you write the code. As I however I have written the code like this. You can write the code on your own, or you can copy and paste it, whatever it is. I don't mind. Okay, create or copy till now written, and the actual assignment is this one. Okay, you need to write one more test, one with special characters. One more test with special characters, not one test. Let's go with two tests, two more tests. Okay, so two more tests. One is with two more tests. One is with special characters. So where you have to apply the special characters, you have to take one more method and keep it here and change this username and password. Okay, with special characters. When I say special characters, what are the special characters? Okay, in the username place you can apply like this, and the password place you can apply like this. Okay, something like this. These are the special characters. And the other one is that characters and numbers and some special characters. Okay, the username is this one and the password is something like this. Okay, so like this you need to write two more tests. Okay, and make sure that all the tests. Okay, so here it is already two and you added another two, total four. All the four tests are running fine, and I'll be sending this file to you right away. I'll do one thing. I'll log into Google Drive.